Welcome to Warrior Commission Now, where we talk about practical ways to live out our commissions in God now in this moment in time, day by day, and kind of prepare for the future in that process as well. So today we're going to be talking about the ongoing road to spiritual maturity. This is one of those things that I love this conversation because um, there are so many mindsets out there that spiritual maturity is a place of arriving. And,
Right.
like I've been doing this for 25 years, so I am spiritually mature. And, and the reality
Mm,
is you will have maturity in certain areas, but you may not have maturity in all areas of your life. And so God tends to grow us up like, I guess we could think of it like Legos. Where he uses a Lego here and there, and then he builds this area, and then he takes this down and builds something else. So it's kind of a picture of the construction and deconstruction process as we grow in life.
right.
And Sharon, you are brilliant about construction and deconstruction, with the background that you have, explored and just immersed yourself in with the Lord. There's a lot that you've learned in that area. So I would love for you to share, whether it's personal testimony um, or just the wisdom that He's placed in you with the construction and deconstruction process.
So I think it's really fun that we have a God who is a creator
Mm-hmm.
because he loves to create, and design is very important to him.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a way that he's designed each one of us from before time, right? So then we become these human people. We're conceived, we're born, and we're growing up in life. And we are all such clay, moldable clay. We are like the bucket of Legos that you don't know what it's going to become, right?
Unlimited possibilities.
Unlimited possibilities. And actually, it's funny that you mentioned that because when my kids were little, that was the thing that was the toy we invested in. We invested in Legos,
Mm-hmm.
and it was about the creative process of the design.
Mm-hmm.
And God wired us before time for certain things. So he knows what Legos he needs. It's like he's got the manual. We don't have the manual.
Right.
He's got the manual. So this spiritual maturity piece, it's really about us moving into God's design.
Mm-hmm.
And he knows best how to do that. So some of our circumstances we might decide haven't been the best.
Right.
And yet God knows what circumstances he can work with on the front end or he can redeem on the back end
Mm-hmm.
so that we end up where he designed us to be.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you can't always see that when you're on the front end looking out. But when you get older,
In the middle of it.
yes, or in the middle of it. But when you get older and you look back and go, oh, that's why he did that.
Yeah. Yeah. The dots start connecting.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, that's why he had me marry that man. Or, I didn't really pick 4 kids, but he gave me 4 kids. Okay. This is why that happened. But there in our spiritual maturity, when we get to a place where we are partnering with God in it,
Mm-hmm.
and there is both a deconstruction piece and a construction piece, because there's things in our life that he needs to redeem.
Mm-hmm.
There's things in our life that we used for one thing, and now we're going to do something else. I had no idea that my college education was really so that I could be a really good stay-at-home mom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And there were people who would say, well, you're wasting your education. No, God sent me to college because he knew I needed to grow up some
Mm-hmm.
before I had kids.
Right. It was not.
Worked out much better for everybody that I grew up some before I
Yeah.
had kids. And because I had the education, I came to Georgia to look for a job.
Mm-hmm.
So God knew what he was doing. But at that point in time in my life, I didn't really know how to partner with him.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Right.
I'm just living life. And my mom says, well, sometimes when you have a decision to make, it's made for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking at this going, That's the God piece.
Mm-hmm.
God orchestrates things. Anyway, I'm getting off. But
Yeah. But you always have choice in that.
yes,
He
you
doesn't,
always have
he
choice
doesn't,
in that.
he doesn't force you. He gives
No.
you an option. It's always an invitation of
Yes.
stepping into it. And so sometimes it's a blind trust to say yes. But
Yes.
sometimes he gives us a heads up and says, by the way, this is what you're going to be walking through. Do you still say yes?
Right.
And then you're choosing them. You're basically, with every choice, you're choosing that battleground,
Right.
but you're also choosing what comes along with that battleground, with the outcome, the growth, the development, the provision, the promises,
Yes.
relationship with God that you could not have had in the same way
Right.
as if you had gone through that. So,
Right. And I think that is the place where the encounter with the Lord comes in.
yeah, absolutely.
And as we're walking on the journey, he shows up for us.
Mm-hmm.
There's something we do at the dinner table. I have a lot of people in my home. We're very much a multi-generational family. And the kids come home from school and we ask them, okay, what good happened in your day today?
Mm-hmm.
And usually at least one thing happened that was good.
Mm-hmm.
And in that place, we can, my husband and I, because we've been doing this a while, we can help them see, well, oh gosh, that was a present from God.
Mm-hmm.
Because the Bible says that every good and perfect gift comes from God.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So they don't have a concept of their own spiritual maturity.
Mm-hmm.
We just want them to see God as the good guy.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think that, a lot of times people are like, encounter God. Like,
Right.
it's this, oh, have an encounter with God. Well, that's a very nebulous thing.
Right.
And usually we jump to, like the TV shows we've seen where, God shows up and you hear the audible voice and the angels are singing and, and all of that. But God also said, that he will speak in a still small voice. And that's typically how he speaks. But, at least in my life, but he can speak through dreams. He can speak through a sense or an understanding or a prompting, like, this place isn't safe, I think I need to go,
Right.
Or wow, I just forgot, I just remembered, I'd forgotten about this, but I just remembered, I need to go do this, and you
Right.
go do it, and then there's someone there that God orchestrated for you to meet.
Right.
And so it's understanding, I think, like you said, the goodness. Where is the goodness of God showing up in your life in these things
Right.
that only he could bring to pass? I call him the great multitasker because he's always multitasking, and he's bringing things into alignment, and he's bringing things together and people together so that they can experience his goodness in those moments in time.
Right.
Yeah, we live in a fallen world, bad things happen, but where is God's goodness? And so when we look back on our lives and we see those good places and those turning points, we can also look at the memorial stones that
Yes.
exist in our lives, and I can look back and I can say, this experience was a memorial stone in my life, whether it was a good experience or a bad experience. The choices that I was able to make created an outcome that God turned for his good,
Yes.
and that's what we're looking for. Where is that goodness? Where is that goodness of God operating in our lives, and what's happening in that?
And he takes his goodness and changes us. In this journey of spiritual maturity, it's God that grows us up. It's not that we have to make ourselves that.
Absolutely.
And this choice that we have to look for the goodness and partner with the goodness, that's our part.
Mm-hmm.
And then he takes that, and all of a sudden we're like, oh gosh, that circumstance didn't upset me this time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Or that person didn't trigger me this time.
Right. Right.
And I don't, because spiritual maturity is not losing yourself, and it's being able to behave in alignment with Jesus.
Right.
Which is loving and kindness. It's the fruit of the Spirit. It's those things.
Right.
And I love how, well, I've just had a few times in my life when I'm like, oh gosh, this is different. He did it. He did it. And
Yeah.
I feel like it's such a blessing that I can see that now.
Mhm.
10 years ago, 20 years ago, I didn't necessarily recognize those things.
Right. Right.
But I love how a song would come on the radio and it was the song I needed to
Mhm.
help me shift
Right.
and practice something different.
Mhm.
A friend would call.
Mhm.
That's that sort of thing. The things that you were talking about before, the realizing, oh gosh, I need to run this errand.
Mhm.
And because God really does love partnering with us. He
Mhm.
loves being in our lives. He loves blessing us.
He does.
He
Yeah.
just likes being with us. And I think sometimes that's hard for us to grasp.
Mhm.
And in this spiritual maturity journey, we learn to participate in the partnership
Right.
with more purpose and intentionality
Right.
instead of it just being reaction. We learn how to respond to the goodness instead of just noticing the goodness,
Right.
if
Exactly.
that makes sense.
And I think that, when we talk about it, we talk about, it's God's responsibility to bring transformation in our lives. We
Right.
don't bring our own transformation. We say yes to what He's inviting us into, and then
Right.
we do have to steward that. We do have to make it active in our lives, because that's
Right.
part of stewardship. It's taking something and spending time in it and practicing it until it becomes a part of your lifestyle. And so as God is transforming us, we stay um we stay in that place of maturity. We're able to step into that place of maturity and not go backwards because
Right.
we're stewarding it. So it's like you said, it's building blocks. It's an ongoing road to spiritual maturity. And I think that's beautiful, because there's always something more that God has for us. There's always a deeper place in His heart. There's always a more expanded revelation of what His nature is and how powerful it is. A lot of people think love isn't that powerful because they haven't seen it. They haven't
Right.
seen the power of it, but it is so powerful to bring change. And God is love, and He is powerful enough to bring change
Yes.
in us, um, as long as we are willing to say yes to that invitation. So
Yes.
at this point, it looks like we need to go ahead and close this up. But
Right.
it was talk to you guys today, and to just have this interchange with Sharon, because she's amazing, and we just enjoy. We have so much fun with these. So even if no one ever listens to these, I'm having time, just talking about God and celebrating who He is in
Right.
our lives. So I hope you guys have a great day. Check out thewarriorcommission.com, where we explore all this stuff and enjoy the practical application of God's heart and scripture in our lives. And we look forward to seeing you guys soon.
Yes. Bye.